Imagine you are a Dakota leader more than 200 years ago, living with your people on your homeland. In 1805, you meet a white soldier for the first time.
Hello, I'm Zebulon Pike. The U.S. government wants to buy some land. We're offering $2,000 and some useful things that will make your life easier.
Pike's offer may seem helpful, but the idea of someone owning land goes against everything Dakota people believe. You get together with the other leaders to consider the offer. Should you exchange the land for some money and goods? 3 of the 5 leaders in your group agree with you, but the other 2 sign an agreement known as a treaty. This land now belongs to the U.S. government. Now it's 1819, and U.S. soldiers come and build a fort on your homeland. And in 1837, the U.S. government buys another piece of land and allows settlers to live there. Fast forward to 1851. The U.S. government has created Minnesota Territory, and settlers are swarming onto the land.
See, the white men are like locusts. When they fly so thick, the whole sky is a snowstorm. Count your fingers all day long, and the white men will come faster than you can count.
More and more keep coming. Animals you depend on are disappearing from the woods and the prairies, and your people are getting hungry. The U.S. government says it will give you money and goods in exchange for more land. Click on a person.
I have a plan to civilize the Dakota Indian, encourage them to be thrifty farmers rather than poor villagers.
The Indians are prepared to make a treaty when we tell them to do so.
The president heard that the Dakota are poor and hungry. I propose the Dakota accept money and goods for some of their land.
Ramsey offers up a treaty that describes what you will receive for your land. Will you sign this treaty? The missionaries and fur traders offer to translate.
We will educate your children and teach you how to plow.
Yes, and we promise to reserve land for you to live on forever.
Now will you sign this treaty?
Suppose your great father, the president, wanted your lands and did not want a treaty for your good. He could come with 100,000 men and drive you off to the Rocky Mountains.
Now will you sign this treaty? Despite many concerns, the other leaders sign and encourage you to do the same. Click the box to sign. Stephen Riggs calls you over to another table. He tells you to sign another paper. In exchange for most of their land, about 35 million acres, the Dakota are promised $3 million and a small area of land along the Minnesota River reserved for Dakota people only. But the money is really an annual payment to be paid over 50 years. And the Dakota are really only to receive the interest. And remember that other document you signed? It wasn't a copy of the treaty, but rather something drafted by fur traders who claim you owe them $431,735. Now it is 1858, and the U.S. government has called you and other Dakota leaders to Washington, D.C. to sign another treaty. Will you sign this treaty? You can't go home unless you sign. Will you sign this treaty? You can't go home unless you sign. Now will you sign this treaty? You can't go home unless you sign. Now will you sign this treaty? You've lost half your land. Plus, the treaty stipulates that you have to send your children to a mission school and learn to plow and raise farm animals like white people. In essence, give up and change everything you are and have been. Will you change your way of life? If you refuse, your food and supplies will be cut off. Will you change your way of life? If you refuse, your food and supplies will be cut off. Will you change your way of life? You are given more supplies and are told to work at farming to sustain yourself, but you and your relatives are just scraping by. Now it's the summer of 1862. The promised payments are 2 months late.
We have waited a long time. The money is ours, but we cannot get it. We have no food, but here are stores filled with food. When men are hungry, they help themselves.
In August 1862, 4 Dakota hunters kill 5 settlers. They know they're in trouble. They meet with you and other Dakota leaders. You know that the white people will be angry about the killings and will punish all Dakota people. Most leaders do not want to go to war, yet the young men are angry and ready.
Go to war! He is a coward!
Click a leader to hear advice.
We have no choice. Our hands are already bloody.
Men, listen. Blood will not wash off blood.
Some say money from traders will never come again. If it does, the white man will say it is his and take it away.
Kill 1, 2, 10, and 10 times 10 white men will come kill you.
Should you attack? Like many Dakota, you disagree with the attack and do not fight, but many others do. For 6 weeks, the Dakota wage a bloody war. Scores of people on both sides are killed. Homesteads and towns are destroyed. Eventually, the Dakota are defeated by U.S. Army troops. Many innocent Dakota are marched to an internment camp at Fort Snelling. More than 300 die there. Hundreds of Dakota warriors are brought to trial, and more than 300 are convicted and condemned to death. President Abraham Lincoln commutes the sentences of most of the warriors, but 38 men are sent to their deaths by hanging in Mankato in December 1862, the largest mass execution in U.S. history. All treaties are revoked, and the Dakota are forced out of Minnesota. Little Crow, who had escaped at the end of the war, is pursued by bounty hunters and in 1863 is shot and killed near Hutchinson, Minnesota. As he dies, the fallen leader is cradled by his 13-year-old son. His killer is awarded a $500 bounty by the state of Minnesota.